The United States has imposed its toughest sanctions yet on Russia since the Ukraine war began, and this time directly targeting Moscow's two largest oil companies. President Trump's announcement signals a major policy shift to pressure both sides of the negotiating table. Now, the two sanctions hit Russia's energy giants, Rosneft and Lukoil, two of the country's biggest oil producers. The U.S. Treasury Department says the move is part of a coordinated effort to force Moscow into an immediate ceasefire in Ukraine, now entering its fourth year. Well, these are the first Russia-related sanctions of Trump's second term, marking a significant change from his earlier approach that relied mostly on tariffs rather than direct financial penalties. Under the new order, U.S. firms and citizens are barred from doing business with the sanctioned companies, a blow to Russia's oil export network that has shifted heavily towards Asia since Western countries imposed a $60 per barrel price cap after the 2022 invasion. Well, Trump also confirmed a planned summit in Hungary with Russian President Vladimir Putin that has been cancelled, saying it just didn't feel right, will meet in the future.
Look, these are tremendous sanctions. These are very big. Those are against their two big oil companies, and we hope that they won't be on for long. We hope that the war will be settled.
Trump also added that he hopes the sanctions will push both Putin and the Ukrainian President Zelensky towards peace, calling the conflict ridiculous and saying it's time to make a deal. He also said that Russia suffered 8,000 soldier deaths last week, underscoring the escalating toll on both sides.
I think that they'll certainly have an impact. They're massive sanctions. It's sanctions on oil. The two biggest oil companies, among the biggest in the world, but they're Russian. They do a lot of oil. And hopefully it'll push, hopefully he'll become reasonable, and hopefully Zelensky will be reasonable too. You know, it takes two to tango, as they say.
Standing alongside Trump, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte praised the move, saying the sanctions are designed to change the calculus and pressure Putin to accept a ceasefire and begin talks.
What the president is doing today with these sanctions is putting more pressure, of course, on both parties, in this case on Russia. It's all about changing the calculus, making sure that Putin understands that the president's vision this weekend of having a ceasefire, stop where they are, as you literally said, that this has to be step one now. And for him to really accept that vision and to come to the table. And then you have to put pressure, and this is exactly what he did today.
The European Union also joined in, announcing a ban on Russian liquefied natural gas imports, further tightening the energy squeeze on Moscow. Together, the US and EU actions could hit tens of billions of dollars in Russian energy revenues, money that helps fund its war in Ukraine. Meanwhile, China keeps importing Russian LNG despite new US sanctions targeting Russia's energy sector. These measures aim to reduce Russia's energy revenue, but China continues its purchases, sidestepping the impact of the sanctions. Now, this highlights the complex energy ties between Russia and Moscow and reflects China's focus on securing its energy needs. And for more on this, our correspondent Susan Tehrani has sent us this report from New York. Take a look.
The U.S. Treasury has officially rolled out a sweeping new round of sanctions on Russia, this time directly targeting its two largest oil giants, Rosneft and Lukoil. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says the move is aimed at cutting off key funding sources for the Kremlin after months of stalled diplomacy and renewed Russian strikes in Ukraine. Politically, this marks a major U-turn by the Trump administration, which until now at least had focused on negotiations as opposed to punishment. As for those tomahawks that Ukraine was hoping to receive from the United States, well, President Trump said that's not going to happen. So what's next? Well, analysts say that Moscow could retaliate by restricting energy exports to Europe and having deeper ties with China. Meanwhile, President Trump's postponed meeting with Vladimir Putin in Budapest and his talks with NATO chief Mark Rutte at the White House suggest that the U.S. is shoring up allies and allied unity, but also testing how far Trump can go in isolating Russia without escalating the conflict any further. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.